Imam Nawawi rahimahullah thought it was important enough that it actually forms the basis for our interaction with people, our social manners, that we speak of benefit. And sometimes, as I remembered, that beneficial speech can be nice, and sometimes it'll be harsh. And that we stay quiet instead of saying things of no benefit. And sometimes things of no benefit can be nice. And of course, they can be harsh. And so it's not that you say something nice or be quiet, but rather before you open your mouth, you ask yourself, is what I'm going to say something of benefit? It comes about Sayyidina Abu Bakr radiallahu anh, that he used to keep pebbles in his mouth. The reason he kept them there is because every time he wanted to speak, he would have to go into his mouth, take these pebbles out to speak. And so because of the work involved, and of course people don't, naturally we don't like to take things out of our mouth, put it in our hand only to put it back in our mouth later. So because of the work involved and because of the natural inclination involved to not do such a thing, it would force you to think before you took it out of your mouth. So Sayyidina Abu Bakr radiallahu anh, he used to keep pebbles in his mouth so that before he spoke, he would have to think about it. Is this thing I'm about to say, is it worthy of the time that I would now have to take the pebbles out? And if it wasn't, then he would just stay quiet. And if it was, then he would speak. So we should adopt these kind of means as well, that before we say something, we stop, we ask ourselves, is there benefit in this speech? If it is, then let me say it. Sometimes that speech will be fard upon us to say, it'll be wajib upon us to say that. Sometimes it'll be mandub, it'll be beneficial to say it. Sometimes that speech is completely haram or makruh, and we will leave it. Sometimes it is mubah, it's in the middle. It doesn't necessarily have a benefit to it, and it doesn't necessarily have a harm to it. In that situation, you can still speak, but it's more beneficial to stay quiet. If in your quietness, you engage in something beneficial, like the remembrance of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And then I mentioned that there was a difference of opinion among our Salaf as to what is better. Is silence better or is speech better? And remember, this is only in those situations where the two are on equal footing. Meaning, if it's clearly more beneficial to speak, then this is not that situation. We're not going to say, stay quiet. And if it's clearly more beneficial to stay quiet, we're not going to say that you should speak. But rather in that situation where the two are on equal footing, some of the Salaf took with their proofs that it is better to stay quiet. And some have taken the opinion that it's better to speak. So what that means for us is that we can take a moment, think about the speech that we're about to do, think further ahead, what will be the result of this speech? Is it possible that something harmful can come about it? Then let me stay quiet. If it's possible that something beneficial will come about it, then let me speak. Or if I don't want to do either one, meaning it's easier to stay quiet, obviously, then let me stay quiet and remember Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala instead. The second social manner that the Prophet ﷺ spoke about is about the neighbor, about honoring the neighbor and looking out for them and taking care of all of their responsibilities that you can help them with, so that no neighbor around you is in difficulty and you, either one, you don't know about it, which is not the case, is not how it should be, or number two, you don't do anything about it, which obviously is even worse. And then the third thing is that your guests, that you honor them and you look out for them. As I mentioned, guests are in fact, they are from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And so we should see them that way and we should honor them that way, because if we want to be a khalil of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, a friend of Allah, then this is one of the ways of doing it. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala allow us to benefit from this hadith. Inshallah, next week we'll continue with hadith number 16. Jazakumullahu khair. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.